I'm gonna wait a little bit. 0 people. All right. No, you're gonna want to hear this story. I was sleeping, and then my phone rang. So that means it's time to get high. 0 people. Well, I could record the story later and then publish it, but doing it live sounds like so much more fun. See, I know there's people awake because they just called me, and they didn't call accidentally. That's better. Hi. Barish. I don't know who that is. Ronald McNutt. Matt and Kelly. Sandy Raymond. Hi, hi, hi. I don't know what to call you, but I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you Bailey. I don't think that's your name. Hi. Now I don't want to dox anybody tonight because there's already people doing that. I got a call from somebody who asked me if I wanted to go have sushi. No, no, I don't really want to have sushi. But why they said sushi probably has something to do with the way that they're working with this woman who got taken for a whole bunch of money. Not sure how that happened. We went to Europe together, and then we went to California, and we sat around for a while she claimed, oh God, she claimed a whole bunch of nonsense. Then she takes me back to Seattle. Where do I go alone? I can't remember. Anyway, we go all the way from Europe back to Seattle, and then she takes off and she goes supposedly to Utah, where she supposedly has a baby. I don't believe a word of any of this. I don't think that happened at all. Because I was in Seattle and she was off in, well, maybe it was Nevada. It was Nevada or Utah. She's having all sorts of adventures with people who are running her ass ragged. And while she's there, she tells me to have all the sushi I want. Now, I don't know about you, but I like raw fish. And it didn't really seem to be a problem to have sushi 3 or 4 nights a week. I wasn't doing anything else. And whatever she was doing, she was being manipulated by people who were undoubtedly monitoring her bank accounts, monitoring her phones, paying attention to her activities, and were probably aware before she was that I enjoyed at least 12 grand in sushi. At least. It wasn't like I went out gambling or buying drugs. Fuck no, I bought raw fish. I like raw fish. It wasn't even that expensive a place, but I did go there a lot. Now, undoubtedly, the plan was for her when she said to me, "Go ahead, use my bank account." Like, who says that? Who says that ever? This woman did. Then months go by. I think 3 or 4. It was an odd time. When was this? This was 2007. 2007. She runs this scam. She wants me to go to Europe with her. Okay, whatever. Something about going to Europe was important to her, and it didn't work out right. So she ends up tanking that trip, or well, things didn't go the way she thought they would. Because at first we went from Washington State to Canada, then from Canada to England, Britain really, then from Britain to Germany. Is that way? No, from Britain to Sweden, then from Sweden to Germany, and then from, well, I'm gonna say Europe. And I believe now that her entire intention was to create like a trail that was plausible. It ends up not being plausible, obviously. She gets on the phone with me and she complains about the sushi at some point. I don't think when the money ran out, but it seemed like she was imagining that I was going to take the money and then do something with it that could be held against me. But instead, I literally just bought sushi, which is kind of hard to launder away as claiming it's some sort of drug thing or some sort of nefarious thing, since what the woman was doing was running around fulfilling some sort of whatever her clandestine objectives were. Ideally, at the end for her, it was going to be something that she could blame me. It was not. It was not something she could blame on me. I wasn't really interested in $12,000 worth of sushi, and frankly, I don't know. Was it really that much? I don't know. They do a lot of weird stuff with the paperwork at the company, and I think that the woman had not been aware that. No, I'm not really into drugs. No, not really. It may certainly look like it. By now, it certainly does. Smoking weed. Oh yeah, weed. Terrible. Anyway, if the intent was to get me wound up in some sort of scheme, it was difficult for them to do that, since all they did was show up, tell me a bunch of lies, take me around a third of the world, and then dump me at home, and then say, "Here, have all the sushi you want." And then I did, without without bothering to go score drugs or make drugs or talk to any drug people or talk to anyone really. I don't really have a whole lot of fans at any given time. Uh, I guess three, maybe four. I don't know how many friends do I have right now. Hi, probably one less. Anyway, I haven't heard about this sushi problem for a few years, but it does keep coming up. And when somebody calls me at 1 in the morning, who uh, also called me up to take me to a laundromat and leave me there, when this person calls at 1 in the morning to ask me if I want sushi, I don't think that that's the whole of the communication. I don't think it's about sushi, especially since this person uh, shares initials with this other person. I don't want to say their names, but I will say that my initials are MK, and this pair of broads seems to run around with the letters M and the letters K a lot. And when I say seems to, it's because they're still running buzzard circles on my life. I haven't heard from the woman who told me to have as much sushi as I wanted for years. I assumed she was smart. It didn't occur to me that she was part of a generations cycle of people who think that they get to ride like buzzards on people. I guess they do. Honestly, I'm not even saying that's bad. Shit. It seems like a good system. It seems like it's a workable system. And it seems like if I hadn't known ahead of time that the woman was full of shit, and if I had been engaged in any kind of malfeasance, I'd have been screwed. But I wasn't. That's kind of what makes it entrapment, but it's not really entrapment at this point. It's not really what's going on here. Uh, what is going on is somebody who this woman and the other woman and this guy and this other guy and this girl and this other girl and this other girl that I like a lot. I might be her boyfriend. I'm not sure. There's a lot of identity shifting that goes on with these people. But I'm going to say there's at least an even baker's dozen of them. Probably two of whom I really like. The other 11, uh, well, they engage in a lot of satanic blood orgies and they transfer their consciousness from body to body. So there could be a lot of overlap there. Norman Bourgeois. Norman Norman Bourgeois. I hope that's Adria. That would be good. Now, hopefully, Adria's Langley, and then she can X out the tape on where I said that. I think that with all the earlier lead time that I used, that allowed people to come in. There was 18. It said 18 people. Now it says four. Okay, so that means there can be four duplex streams of noise to. Well, no, I don't want to describe how the company does shit. I'm not equipped for it. I'm not getting paid for it. It's probably classified. You never know. Norman Bourgeois. Norman. I think that the codes, like calling at 1 o'clock and asking about sushi, that's kind of a code. It's not something that I expect to have. I've never had sushi with this person. The fact that she works with the person who has the sushi problem, because apparently it was a big thing. Like it was this noticeable event that happened, and people laughed at her for fucking up that large. And then they had to cover this hole in the budget for sushi, as well as continue to do whatever they do because the matter keeps coming up. Not just the call from whomever an hour ago, but also the woman who abandoned me. Abandoned me? Um, deposited me, I'll say. She deposited me in Seattle. She told me she wanted to leave me somewhere safe. Fuck. I would have preferred being left in a ditch in Germany. Anyway, she calls up a dozen years later. No, longer than that. Haven't talked to her on the phone. Well, I talk to her once in a while, but infrequently. So a dozen years later, she calls up and she's using a vocoder and she's speaking to me as if she's in the middle of a conversation about my healthcare choices and that I've already said to her, I refuse to do anything besides smoke crystal meth, which is interesting because I've never done that. I don't I don't want to graduate to that level of self care yet. It could be that for a source titan, smoking crystal meth every day is the best thing for me. It could be. I don't know. I haven't found out. I don't wish to find out. I know that some people take that route in life with a variety of associated effects, which is not something I'm really down with doing anytime soon. Hi. Hi. I'd rather shave before I fucking start doing crystal meth all the time. As good as it might be, I have my boyish charm and good looks to think about. I'm not really going to worry about it too much. But this woman was on the phone and she goes into her spiel for like a good 2.5 seconds. And I could feel it unraveling in my head. The thing about these scripts is that they come from somewhere, and if somebody's done them ahead of time, there's an echo into the future and the past of the timeline of where somebody's already said those things. For instance, when you say anything, blah 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 blah, those blah blahs, those are going out over the air to Bob's blah 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 blog, and then they're going forever. They're always there, and because of the way relativity works, if somebody calls you up and they're planning on saying the exact same thing, you get an echo, or at least I do. Some kind of mental data that comes up. So I'm on the phone with this woman, and within moments I think, hey, this is what's her nuts, the one who stole the black sapphire, which isn't important right now, but there was this item that was stolen, and she carries it with her. Where I don't know. What she's done with it, I don't know. Whether she still has it, I don't know. That she had it and she lied about it and she stole it, these are incontrovertible facts. So there's a certain signature there. It doesn't lend well to being erased by YouTube. Not at all. It doesn't go away. It's just there. Okay, well, it's kind of why I got it. And then what has been done with it doesn't matter. But what somebody who sounded like that same person did, whether or not it's the same person or not, they certainly sounded like them. It might not have been her at all. It might have just been meant to sound like her. They come on and they say a statement that if I had just assented to or acknowledged even would have been something that could have been leveraged into a narrative script that already existed. I knew this intuitively. So I instantly called her by name and said, "What are you doing?" And then very shortly thereafter, she got the phone. That was I think a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I'll say that I'm very proud and happy that I did that because it was honest and it worked. I don't really want to get caught up in a company narrative about fucking anything. You feel me? Not without a contract, and not by getting on the phone with somebody just out of nowhere. Hey, you want to go have sushi with me tomorrow? Since it was after midnight, tomorrow would have been the next day, which would have been Thursday. Like who does this? Well, company does it. They're pretty good at it. Now, The exchange was similarly brief this most recent time, and I'm forced to assume it's the same partner duo. Nobody does this alone, right? And hats off to Mr. and Mrs. I won't say because I don't know which ones they are, but these operators work in teams. Predation is much more successful when you have a duo. Yeah, down to 0. God love you all. Honestly, there's no greater joy than doing the work for my country that I can do. It is a job. They don't pay real well, but it's largely because I don't owe my sorrow to the temporary store. See you later.